Viewer discretion is advised.
The Steelers. When people say your quarterback looks like a rapist, well, he in fact is an alleged rapist. Bonus, he drove a bike through a windshield too. Remember all of those home AFC championship games you blew? And of course, your coach who has eyes bigger than a Furby somehow winding up on the field and tripping a player. That was Bush.
Didn't you? The Pittsburgh Steelers jailbreak throwback outfits. I'm not sure what the look is here, giant animated bumblebee or 1920s convict. I like the latter, considering if you hang out with Le'Veon or Martavius, you might need a get out of jail free card. Also, you might need a bunch of Cheetos as well. Hanging out with those two, you know they don't mess with nothing but the koosh. And that's what you need to actually start thinking these uniforms are cool, man. I know you've got some way worse
teams do not have cheerleaders. They are the Buffalo Bills, the Chicago Bears, the Cleveland Browns, the Green Bay Packers, the New York Giants, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for those who came here looking for pictures of cheerleaders, easy there, Tiger. Actually one of the first teams to have cheerleaders on the sidelines, as they used students from nearby Robert Morris University to fill their squad. And look at those outfits. I think I see ankle, fellas. The Steelerettes cheered their last season in 1969. And then the teams went on to reel off 6 Super Bowl wins, and it's kind of the opposite of the Bears and such. Of course, why do you need cheerleaders in the freezing Pittsburgh winter when you have Steely McBee?
Pittsburgh Steelers, Art Rooney II, and family. Art Rooney and the Rooney family also have an interesting backstory. Art Rooney I was a Pittsburgh native and former minor league baseball player. In 1933, he paid the $2,500 franchise fee to start what was then the Pirates, and 3 years later used some gambling winnings to sign players and hire a coach. Of course, his son Dan steadily ran the Steelers for over 40 years, and now Art Rooney II has taken over since Dan passed away in 2014. You really don't hear much from the Rooneys, as they are steady, non-vocal leaders of their team. I guess they let their fans and players do all the talking. The Steelers, like the Jags, have been lucky not to blow tremendous leads. Up 21-3 in the first half, the Seahawks, led by that guy Jim Zorn, mounted a comeback and ended up winning 24-21. I wish I had more fail for the Steelers, so instead here's me reminding you that the Jags beat the fuck out of them last year in the playoffs. Eyes are this damn big, you know where the sideline is. That's why nobody bought that Mike Tomlin didn't intentionally step onto the field and cause a distraction during a kick return in 2013. The Ravens would end up settling for a field goal, though who knows whether Tomlin made a difference or not. He was fined 100 G's, and the Steelers lost that night, which gets a damn son. Didn't see that coming, did ya? Located a stone's throw from downtown Pittsburgh, Heinz Field was once described by Al Michaels as a sea of mustard that was built by ketchup. It's worth noting that in 2008, after a poll of 1,500 NFL players, Heinz Field was voted the worst playing surface in the league. The grass has since been changed and upgraded. It's pretty rare the Browns have anything on the Steelers, as the black and yellow crew has treated them like a gigapet for the last 50 years. However, in 1989, the Browns laid a Week 1 beatdown on them that should have been stopped early. Bernie Kosar was mediocre in this game. It was kicking, defense, and running that did Bubby Brister and the Steelers in. The largest arm stripes in the NFL, the huge amount of gold on the sleeves represents how much money Le'Veon Bell is missing out on this year. This uniform was copied and pasted by the Iowa Hawkeyes, who were inspired by the Pittsburgh motif. And nobody is going to copy Le'Veon's raps, or his off-field behavior, or his decision-making, or take financial advice from him. This is an organization that rarely screws up, at least that's the perception. So when they decided they would avoid last year's anthem fiasco by not coming out onto the field, surely that would diffuse the situation. Oh, but they forgot that they employ an actual military veteran, and damn if he is going to just stand in a tunnel when the anthem is being played. That wasn't a PR nightmare or anything, was it? Also, letting James Harrison walk and playing in the Super Bowl while allowing Blake freaking Bortles shred you like an industrial recycler gets an honorable mention when you completely overlook the Jags and even boasted about matching up with the Pats in the playoffs. A special guest urinating tree rip into Steely McBeam.
Ah yes, Steely McBeam, the cartoon embodiment of Bill Cowher and every Yinzer stereotype. This man roams the sidelines at Heinz Field while the rest of the village people keep searching for their missing steelworker. Steely is known around the league as a top-tier mascot, but in many contests he has been known to play down to his competition. He relies on his top-tier talents of drinking and complaining to bail him out. Too bad if he underperforms as a mascot, he will never be fired. The Roonies just don't do that.
Steely McBeam, okay? Well, Steely because it's a steel pine, Mick because the Steelers are Irish, okay? And Beam because Steel Beam, plus my husband loves Jim Beam.
Alright, these diamond things have to go. Replace them with the 2 drama faces and a DVR reminder to tune into the soap opera. Gotta add that falling couch from AB's apartment. I know he's not on the team, but it's still relevant. Add in some pastries, because that's what you'll need to feed Captain Fat Fuck to keep him happy. Best case scenario, he eats them instead of underthrowing them. Though my partner in crime, urinating tree may be saltier than Lot's wife.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the most hypocritical, two-faced, sniveling, and unlikable organizations in all of football.
Steelers fans are the least salty in this division. It's not that they aren't salty. Most of their arguments stem from how unrealistically good they think the team is and how much better being a Steeler fan is than being anything else. So it's shiny, arrogant salt. A salty Yinzer is now famous because of the soap opera you created last year.
This week on Days of Our Steelers.
With more drama than a Greek tragedy, you finally jettisoned the cancer that threw Juju under the bus, even though he really fucked up. Does your scouting department not look at Wonderlic results or know what a red flag is before you draft someone? Only stopwatches, I guess. Guys like Mike Wallace and Martavius Bryant were coddled and then discarded like tampons. But you know what really triggers you? Me calling Terry Bradshaw overrated and bringing up the Neil O'Donnell era. And since the Steelers don't fire head coaches, get ready for 5 more years of Tomlin. It's the Steeler way. The Steelers may have put together the most improbable 15-1 season of all time, given that 13 of those wins came on the arm of their rookie quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. The Steelers had a very basic but effective formula. Play strong defense, run the ball with Deuce Staley and the bus, and ask their 22-year-old quarterback to make a couple plays. That plan worked for most of the season. Former Broncos draft pick and XFL alum Tommy Maddox started the season at QB, but was knocked out of their Week 2 game in Baltimore, a 30-12 beating, which would prove to be their only loss of the regular season. In comes the rookie, and the young but still big Ben reeled off wins in his first 14 starts, including a 34-20 home victory over the Super Bowl champ Pats. Ben did enough to win, throwing 17 touchdowns and leading 5 game-winning drives. Unlike the last team to go 15-1, lack of adversity was not the problem. The problem was they ran into one team that was better that year, the 14-2 New England Patriots. The Pats had lost by 14 to the Steelers, and their only other slip-up was a 1-point loss in Miami. Typical. In the AFC Championship game, the Patriots exploded on offense, scoring 41 against a team that had only allowed 15.7 points per game in the regular season. The Patriots actually led 24-3 before the Steelers drew within 11, but a Deion Branch touchdown put the game out of reach and ended the Steelers' best regular season since 1995. They didn't have any fatal flaw other than they weren't ready to compete with a team that was about to win its 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. Either way, the Steelers proved with fewer expectations came better results when they entered the playoffs the very next year as a wild card and won 3 road games on their way to a victory in Super Bowl 40. Before the iconic steel mark logo of today, there was this guy taking a break from forging I-beams to kick extra points. Honestly, it's not a bad illustration for the time period. It's just a stark juxtaposition to the logo we have today versus this dude that's about to get off work when the horn sounds and get obliterated drinking a case of Iron City all by himself. Nothing alarmingly bad about Heinz Field. It's in a cool location, close to downtown and right near a river. It does get knocked for the problems it had with its turf several years back. Hopefully there won't be any issues moving forward, but yeah, that one game was awful. Overall, a solid stadium. How the hell are you supposed to pick the worst coach for a franchise that's had fewer head coaches than the Catholic Church has had popes? You have to go back to Walt Kiesling, who coached the team 3 separate times in 3 different decades, including during World War II. Unfortunately, all 3 stints went worse than the German invasion of Russia, as Kiesling finished 30, 55, and 5 in Pittsburgh. Though it was a long time ago and the field has been completely replaced, anytime you bring up this moment at Heinz Field, it causes the NFL to retract in horror. Close enough on the seating chart at 68K, but again, the weather works against Pittsburgh here. Plus, the stadium area is pretty small, as Heinz Field lacks the parking of other stadiums. No Pittsburghers will be sold on Super Bowl Sunday. The favor hath been returned. Believe it or not, the Pittsburgh Steelers' most heinous loss was delivered to them by the Browns. In September of 1989, Bernie Kosar's Browns marched into Three Rivers Stadium and shut out the Steelers. The Browns' defense scored 3 touchdowns and left a dark stain on the Steel City. Kind of like last year's playoff game. Cue urinating tree.
Oh, here, look, here I am. Here's the snap. Oh no, it goes over me. What the f***, Pouncy? What the f*** was that?